Yep, well, we're replacing the Rockner 33 with the Active 13.5 kilo, and that's the experiment we're going to undertake on this adventure. Quite a stiff breeze. DF600 13 kilo anchor. Winds are about 25 knots, even up to 30. Stormy sea. This is Captain Matt Cole. He's been in charge of this vessel for the past 5 days when we've been sailing out of Gladstone and en route to Yeppoon. And Matt, would you describe the trip that we've just done and some of the anchoring and etc. that we've done, to get here?
Yeah, we left Gladstone and we've anchored up in creeks and in the open ocean on this island called Hummocky Island. So we've had varying conditions to anchor in, from quite sloppy mud to very slaty mud with gravel in it, and sand and rock around the island. And yeah, the anchor has performed really well. Our conditions, actually, weather conditions were very unfavourable. So yeah, everything was a great test for the anchor, up to 35 knot winds and swirling around.
And explain anchoring in the creek where it was mud and gravel and unfavourable bottom.
Okay, the first anchorage was fine because there was no gravel or rock in there. It was just, we set straight away, fantastic. In the second creek, it was high tide. We couldn't quite judge what the bottom was. And we had a little bit of trouble initially. But all we had to do was basically adjust the collar once we realised, feeling the chain, that we're on gravel, rock and slaty mud. And it pretty well went straight in there. We got the scope correct and held fast for the whole duration that were there. And even the swinging of the change of the tides and the current, swinging at anchor, there was no issue. I felt total confidence in it once I had the feel of that anchor.
Could I just ask about your first impressions? Like when we swapped out the Rockner 30 kilo, 33 kilo for the Active DF600 13.5 kilo anchor. What were your first impressions with regard to the way they looked and the size?
Well, the obvious, you always think bigger is better. And I'm thinking this boat's like 8 to 10 ton, and it's like half the weight, 20 kilos lighter and half the size. And I'm thinking, geez, is that thing going to hold this boat in adverse conditions? And the weight, incredible. Just being actually able to manage it. You can single-handedly manage it even if you're not using a anchor winch, which is a big plus. But yeah, just the size and the weight were the impressive factors there. And ease of use, amazing. And like most people, you're a bit dubious at the start because, why change something that's not broken? But yeah, when we put it, attached it to the chain and ran it through its paces, it was second to none. And the management of it was quite amazing.
And Matt, could you tell us a bit about your credentials as a yacht captain?
My official certificates and credentials are, I'm a Master 5 MED2, which is a engineering certificate. I've freelance skippered boats all around Australia and overseas. I ran a surf charter business in Indonesia for about 7 years. When that ran its course, I came back to Australia and worked on whale watch, fishing charters, a variety of different like contract skipper sort of jobs. And I then actually went back to Indonesia and did hydrographic surveying on the offshore oil surveys, which is quite an experience. I'm still on the books for that and occasionally contract doing that. And I've also worked on for the Department of Primary Industries doing the shaft management program, amongst other things. This boat is a Fountaine Pajot Athena 38-footer, really nice boat cruising catamaran. It's my third boat, and yeah.
When we were anchored overnight and going to bed, how was your confidence after a couple of nights? With going to sleep with the anchor out, with the active anchor out?
Well, once we'd run it through its paces in all sorts of different ground and had gone through all these, adverse conditions, I was feeling very comfortable on sleeping. Obviously, we had anchor watch on, and that rarely went off. I did have it pulled in a little bit tight just for safety and knowledge of being aware of what was going on, and I widened that scope, and I was confident and slept well because I could see how it was acting.
And what do you think about the construction of the anchor, as far as how strong it is in an engineering sense?
Well, the engineering looks great, and like I said, it is a beautiful looking anchor. All the parts, keep it simple and easy, and understanding the basic functions of it, which are very mechanically sound. And it's a beautiful looking anchor, and it works.
When I first described it to you, some of the ways it was designed, what was the some of the features that resonated with you?
What I found interesting was the shape, and you actually brought up a good point of how the whole concept came into place, which was going fishing and watching the way that crabs and stingrays bury themselves into the sand. They kind of wriggle themselves in. And this is basically built on that concept, which is using nature, which has worked all this out, and then putting it into a practical mechanical sense. And it's amazing how it does imitate a natural action of an animal, which is incredible.
After using the active DF600, over 5 nights, and in comparison to the Rockner 33 kilo Mark 1, how did your opinion change? From your first observation, your first thoughts?
Well, initially, I was a little bit dubious because of size and weight, and it being a lot lighter and smaller than the Rockner 33 kilos compared to around 15 kilos, I think it is, the active anchor we were using. Yes, and the holding power and the versatility of it were amazing, as in all different conditions, and there was no need to be on anchor watch compared to the Rockner in really adverse conditions, which we did have. We were swirling around a lot of current, a lot of wind. And I had very confident in its holding power.
And what about how it reset? Like if you were doing circles with a Rockner, how would that go compared to the active? Like, would that set quickly, or would it drag a bit? How's the difference there?
Well, a Rockner can basically, once you start corkscrewing and squirreling around, you're not quite sure what it's doing. It can pull itself out in the opposite direction of what you want it to do, and it felt like the active anchor was actually burying itself in even more and making it more secure. I could feel it when we'd pull up on the bridle, and there'd be a solid spring there. So it was holding like it was connected to a concrete mooring. It was fantastic.
And would you say it was really quick to set, or compared to the Rockner, or how do you compare how quick it is to set?
Well, there was no backing up on the anchor. You'd just let the current and the wind do the job, and it'd find its way in. It'd work its way in. You could actually feel it through the anchor chain. So no having to keep backing up until you were set, which was a big advantage.
And what would you say to other yacht owners who were considering getting an active anchor for their vessel?
Oh, do it. Fantastic. Like, as I said earlier, the weight and the size, because weight and space on a boat is very limited. You want to keep everything as small and as light as possible. And also, it's a beautiful looking anchor. It looks sexy on the bowsprit.
And what about managing the anchor? Would you say it would save you time and effort in managing the anchor?
Yeah, ease of retrieval. You're not putting so much load on your anchor winch, and once you're on top of it, boom, it pops straight out. You're not really putting too much strain on your equipment.
And also, we supplied a small DF600 1 kilo active anchor for your tender, for your little dinghy. It's a little Zodiac 8-footer. We use that for fishing and cruising around. Could you explain a little bit of your experience using the dinghy anchor?
Versatility. Beautiful. Because, yeah, when you're fishing, you obviously want to get into tight spots, around bommies and reef, and there could be gravel and sand around you, and you want to be able to release quickly if necessary. And this anchor's perfect for that. It's light. You can throw it basically like a frisbee and have confidence in holding and retrieving without losing any of your gear.
And what about the release mechanism in reef? How did you find that?
Fantastic. It just flipped out and pulled up.
But it held you, when the current was pulling you, it held. But then when you come up over it, it released.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it all, yeah.